Hi, I'm Justin Ford, and today I'm going to talk about why zoos are inhumane. I'm sure most of you have been to a zoo before. At one point or another, I've been to something like that, like a wildlife sanctuary. That's because, we like to see animals that we wouldn't usually see on a normal basis. We enjoy doing this, but more importantly, do the animals enjoy it? Is our entertainment more important than, the health of the animals and the well-being of the animals? So today I'm going to talk about why zoos are inhumane. I will begin by talking about the effect it has on the animals, how the animals are really treated, and how it benefits those that run the zoos. So how exactly do the animals feel about it? How does it affect them? According to the Zoo Animal Welfare Educational Center, there are many reasons on how zoos can negatively affect the animals. The bottom line is that zoos are not always designed in, the best way to cater the needs of the animals that are in the cages. Lack of space, social stress, presence of visitors, diseases and other health problems, and medical procedures are some of the main challenges facing zoos when they want to guarantee optimal welfare status for the animals that are under their care. The presence of visitors nearby the enclosure or in some occasions inside the facility or in close contact with animals is a situation that animals face daily during the zoo's open hours. Presence of people that are unfamiliar to the animals, as well as their movements, sounds, and smells, all can elicit a stress response in the animals and may negatively affect their welfare. The buildup of this occurring daily will greatly affect the animal mentally. Um, even the best zoos cannot replicate wild animals' habitats. Animals are often prevented from doing most of the things what comes natural to them and important to them, like running, roaming, flying, climbing, foraging, being able to choose who they mate with, and being able to be with others of their own species. These conditions often result in abnormal and self-destructive behavior, which is known as zoochosis. Um, Virginia McKenna, who starred in the classic movie Born Free and received a Order of the British Empire in 2003 for her work on behalf of captive animals, says that her participation in Born Free made her realize that wild animals didn't belong in cages; they belonged, in the wild, not being imprisoned in zoos. She goes on to say, freedom is a precious concept, and wild animals suffer physically and mentally from the lack of freedom that captivity imposes on them. So besides being in captivity, how are the animals treated? Does the zoo make it feel like home for the animals? Are they given what they need to thrive? If you watched the Netflix documentary Tiger King, it is pretty easy to tell that most privately owned zoos do not. That is because resources are pretty low, and the animals are seen more as means to make money rather than the living beings that they are. Zoos are covered by the Federal Animal Welfare Act, the AWA, which sets minimal housing and maintenance standards for captive animals. The AWA requires that all animal displays be licensed with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, which expects the zoos about once a year. However, some zoos that have passed the USDA inspections with flying colors have later been found by humane groups that there were numerous violations present. Former zoo director David Hancock estimates that less than 3% of a zoo's budget goes to conservation, while the majority goes elsewhere towards like high-tech stuff that, just other things that would make people go instead of, to benefit the animals. This fact alone tells you that the animals are not the priority. A zoo can teach you a lot about how the animals behave in captivity, but not how they would actually behave, in the wild. So most modern zoos make the efforts to offer animals a more natural environment. Most captive animals in zoos are unable to live in a way that they would naturally, and some may even be on medication, to make them less hyper, less wild. So how exactly are they treated by staff? Well, let's just say it is not uncommon to find stories such as the one highlighted by a leaked memo from PETA that revealed that a zookeeper at Melbourne Zoo had stabbed an elephant more than 12 dozen times with a sharp metal spike. And all of that was going on, people, the higher up people were more focused on the $20 million enclosure that was being built outside. So how do zoos benefit those that run them? As I've mentioned earlier in the speech, those running the zoos see the animals more as a way to make money. Zoos will often trade and relocate animals when they deem that they lost their profitability. What can they do for them anymore? Trading animals with other zoos can be extremely stressful for the animals. They've already created the bonds there. They've already gotten used to the habitat that they're used to. So for zoos, the interest of animals usually comes second to attracting visitors and making money. Zoos exist for profit, not why they should exist, to educate and to save the animals. One of the biggest draw cards for zoos is baby animals. Babies will often be bred even when there isn't enough room for them, inevitably resulting in surplus animals in zoos. And surplus management strategies are one of the best kept secrets of modern zoos. You saw it in Tiger King where supposedly they would shot tigers when they were done with them or when there was no room for them. Most zoos exist for the wrong reasons. There are a small number of zoos that do have the animals' interests at heart. A privately owned zoo named Zoo Spenceville has an article titled "Making Money on Animals, Right or Wrong." They say the reasons for the zoo is to educate and to save species from extinction. Using living things for your own personal gains is always wrong. Now we've discussed why animals should not be in zoos, because zoos are inhumane, let's summarize everything that we've gone over. Zoos are inhumane because of their effect on the animals, lack of space, constant presence of visitors, etc. leaves the animals stressed and has tremendously negative effects on the animals' mental health. The second reason zoos are inhumane is because they do not always make the effort to make the enclosures replicate the natural habitats they would have in the wild. Don't always provide the animal with what they need to thrive. The final reason that zoos are inhumane is because the people that are in charge do not care about the animals as much as they care about benefiting financially from the animals. Zoos very rarely have the animals' best interests in mind, and that is why they are inhumane. Zoos are ran more like a prison, and the animals inside them are treated more like pawns in a business.